Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about top reasons why your student visa application might be rejected. Over the past few months, the rate of rejections for student visa applications have actually skyrocketed, and it actually gets bad if you are offshore. And by that I mean if you are not in Australia. If that happens, you don't have the right to appeal the rejection. But if you are onshore, of course, you can appeal the rejection and maybe get something out of it. But if you are offshore, the best you can do is to apply for another student visa. So I actually did a little research, and then I found out there are major reasons why your people's student visa could actually get rejected. And now the top of that list, or the most profound reason, is the genuine temporary entrance. Of course, we all know that the major purpose of granting anyone a student visa is for the person to come study in Australia, and then after studying, you go back to your country. And most times, we understand that there may be hidden motives behind these intentions. So, what the immigration does is that they try to find out how genuine is this person coming to study. So that is why the bulk of the the decision, the weight of the decision is actually built on the genuine temporary entrance. And by this, I don't just mean maybe the little writing you have to do. I mean the GT that is just like 1 or 2 pages. Of course, it's much more than that, because going by the writing, anyone can actually write anything, anyone can claim anything. So that is why the immigration guys need something more to support um, whatever it is you are giving them as the GTE, so that they can actually ascertain and determine that you are a genuine temporary entrant, that you are coming to Australia to study legitimately. So, yeah. So as I've mentioned earlier, the top of the list is the genuine temporary entrant. And when analyzing the GTE, the immigration tries to understand why is it that this person can't study this course in his or her home country? Yeah, let's say you're from Nigeria and you're applying to study maybe civil engineering or maybe medicine or whatever it is. So part of the GTE assessment is for the immigration to understand why you can't actually study the course you're trying to study here in Nigeria. Is it that your country don't have a suitable program for the course, or is it that maybe there is no university that offers the course in your country? If this is the reason, then it's actually more legitimate. That is why you get questions like, why do you want to study in Australia? I mean, during your visa application stage, or even when you are trying to apply to a school, you get asked this question a lot. Why do you want to study in Australia? So whatever you say there, it actually carries a very, very significant weight, because they want to know why you want to come to Australia. So you just have to be very careful when answering that kind of question. So another thing that forms part of the GTE assessment is understanding the personal and economic ties you have to your home country. Yeah. So of course, as a student, you may not really have a lot of money or maybe a lot of assets, but if you do, it's really helpful, because part of the GTE assessment is for them to understand, or to maybe find out the ties you have to your country. This will give them the reason, or it will give them the assurance that after studying, you can actually go back to your country. So that is the purpose of the GTE assessment. And that is why whenever you are writing any GTE or whatever you are doing about the GTE, you have to provide very strong links to your home country, and then give the assurance that, yeah, this is what I've been doing in the past maybe a few years, or this is what I have, or maybe I have this landed property, or maybe I have this. If you can be able to provide these documents or this information, I mean verified ones, I'm not advising anyone to forge anything, or maybe provide any fraudulent document. If you actually have some of these things, it's easier for you to get the student visa. Mind you, I'm not saying that if you don't have this stuff that you can't get a student visa. I didn't have any landed properties or any stuff, but I got my student visa. But I'm just trying to say that it's easier for you to get it if you have this, as it will form part of the assurance that you have significant stuffs back home that will make you want to return to your home country, of course, after studying in Australia. So, under the GTE assessment bucket, another very key point there is your immigration history. if you have maybe witnessed severe visa denials, um, it actually impacts a little on your current visa application, because let's say you try to apply to the US in the past, or you try to apply to Canada in the past, and the visa was denied. Um, in as much as these visa rejections are not going to directly affect your application, it may have a backdoor implication, because if of course they want to find out why the visa was rejected, I mean why you were rejected, and then looking through that um, looking through that case or through that box will provide them maybe with reasons why they should also deny this particular one. And that is why I actually advise people, don't you just throw around visa applications anyhow, because it is not good for your record. It's better you don't have any history of traveling, you have never traveled before, and whenever you are trying to make an application, it's a fresh one, than maybe you have 2 or 3 rejections in the past. It actually affects your application. So whenever you want to make an application, make sure you are very, very thorough. If you prefer to go to an agent, then you do that. Then if you don't, you just have to be thorough. Provide all the documents required of you, so that you don't have a lot of visa rejections. Because when you have a lot of visa rejections, it actually impacts. I mean, cumulatively, it's going to impact on your future applications. So that is it for the genuine temporary entrance. Now, another reason why people's student visas are rejected is the school and the course they are trying to study. I mean, the school they apply to and the course they are trying to study. Now, this is very important, because all these schools here in Australia, they are ranked. So whenever you are admitted into a very high ranking university, it actually improves your chance and boosts the confidence of the immigration guys. And then another thing is the course you are trying to study. I think I've said this in my previous video that when you have maybe let's say a background or a bachelor's degree in, let's say, psychology, and then you want to come and start studying something totally unrelated to psychology, maybe let's say civil engineering, or maybe let's say you know, maybe something else that is not hydrology or something like that, that is totally unrelated to your first degree or your background, it's not going to go well, because the immigration guys will not find that as a very good reason for giving you a student visa, and they will not be persuaded that you actually want to study, because of course they will make the argument that you are not pursuing a career. You are just doing whatever you can to get a student visa, and that is what they always capitalize on. And once that happens, you may actually get your visa rejected. So that is why I also advise people who may link up to me on Instagram and stuff. Whenever you have to apply to for your student visa, make sure that the course you are choosing has at least a minimum correlation to what your background is, maybe what you did in your first degree. Yeah. For example, I studied surveying and geoinformatics in my first degree. So if I want to do a master's and I start looking at maybe let's say maybe geodesy, that is a part of surveying. Okay, let me use something more general. Let's say you studied medicine and surgery. If you are trying to do a master's and you are looking at maybe let's say dentistry, or maybe something, let's say optometry, or just something related to medicine, that's very okay. But when you do a first degree in medicine and you're trying to pursue a master's degree in engineering, trust me, that's a very big red flag, and you are most likely going to get your visa rejected and your heart broken. Now, another point is depending on your citizenship or your country of citizenship, you may actually be required to provide evidence of English test. So yeah, that's of course we all know that you may have to write some of the English tests, the IELTS or the GRE or stuff like that. Although personally I didn't write mine, and of course I've said it over and over why I didn't write it. So if you if you find yourself in a similar situation as me, you may not have to provide that. But if not, a lot of people will have to provide the proof that they are actually maybe that they meet the requirement for English, whatever, before they can come to Australia. And this mostly applies for master's students. It also applies for PhD students, but there are a few exceptions. Just as I told you, my case is one of those exceptions. So now another very important reason for visa rejections is the health insurance. Whenever you want to come to Australia, the health insurance policy is very, very strict here. So you must have a health insurance. If you don't have a health insurance, you're gonna get rejected. So you have to pay the fees. I think in the past videos I've shown how much you have to pay if you're single. If you're coming with your partner, there is a specified amount you have to pay, and if you are coming with maybe more than three persons, there is also a certain amount you have to pay. So it's a little bit expensive, but it's something you have to do so that you don't get your visa rejected. So another very important point here is your financial capability. The financial capability is actually a little bit related to the genuine temporary entrance. So the financial capability allows the immigration guys the opportunity to know if you can actually take care of yourself when you come to Australia. So that is why sometimes they need proof of funds from um, people, and that is always in the tune of maybe $20,000 to $30,000. So I have a friend who told me that he was asked to provide a proof of fund of around 20 million, I mean, naira, Nigerian naira. So that is as high as it can get. And when showing this proof of fund, it's not advisable that you just maybe dump the money there within maybe 1 week and try to show that as a proof of fund. It's never going to fly because anybody can do that. You can actually take a loan or borrow money. So if you have to provide a proof of fund of let's say $20,000 or $30,000, the money has to be in your account for maybe few months, maybe 3 months or so, 4 months at least, so that they can be sure that yes, this money belongs to you and you can actually channel it into whatever it is you have to do in Australia. Yeah. So it's a very, very important aspect, the proof of funds. And something else that can actually complement the proof of funds is whatever assets you can provide. Yeah, so just make sure everything is detailed, make sure everything is complete. Don't miss out anything in your GTE, yes, because that is actually where the major weight comes from. Once you are good with your GTE and your um, financial capability, I mean, I just think we are good to go. So another thing I want to talk about is providing fraudulent or fake documents. That is a very big red flag. You may actually do it and get a student visa successfully, but it's going to haunt you in the future. Maybe let's say you want to go ahead to get your PR or your citizenship. These steps are actually more, I mean, thorough. The process of getting the PR is more thorough than maybe the student visa, and the process of getting citizenship is actually very, very thorough. So in one of these steps, they may actually find this out, and when they do, they can maybe rescind your visa and deport you. So it's not worth it. So please, whoever is thinking of using a fraudulent document, please don't just do it. It's better you use the documents you can testify to. I mean, valid documents, and you get rejected than maybe trying to play it the fast way. It's really not worth it. So now the final point why your visa might be rejected is if you do not meet the health requirements, because Australia has a very strict, should I say, health rule. So of course they don't want someone maybe bringing in a certain virus or stuff that can infect a lot of people. So that is why if you have, especially tuberculosis, I'm very sure of that. If you have tuberculosis, you can't come to Australia at all. So that is they take the medical examination stuff very, very seriously. So so that they can find maybe people who have some infections or some stuff that may not allow them to come. But I don't think this affects stuff like maybe HIV or some other. No, no, I don't think so. I just think things that can be transmitted to someone else. Those are the kind of, yeah, HIV can be transmitted to someone else. What am I saying? Well, the point I'm just trying to make is that they have a very strict health requirements. So those that can be easily transmitted to someone else. Let me use that word, easily. Yeah. So they are not gonna have it. So these are the major reasons why your student visa may actually be rejected. So if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll be seeing you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.